Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Today's talk, we're going to talk a little bit about prevention and cure. I've even before I found the raw vegan lifestyle, I've studied a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, don't try to quiz me. I couldn't tell you a lot about it other than just the basic concepts. But I've been interested in traditional Chinese medicine for a number of years, 25 or 30 years, just, dabbling and paying a little, paying attention, reading about it. But more than anything than the particulars, I just always could resonate with that approach, which is basically about taking charge of your own health and doing things like it's about, Eastern medicine is largely about prevention as opposed to waiting until you have to get a cure, because excuse me, let's face it, especially as major disease goes, whether we're talking about heart disease, cancer, diabetes, or whatever, these are all diseases now that, there's things we can do with this lifestyle if someone was to come to that form of disease. But what I'm getting at here is it's much easier to prevent. Once we get to the cure, you're into some more extreme things. And if you're talking about the traditional medical establishment, once you get to the cure, all you're talking about then is cutting major chemicals and lots of drugs. So what I was thinking about this morning is also, too, the approach to doing this raw vegan lifestyle. One thing that that I will preach over and over and over and over, especially for people that are struggling. Now, there's some people like me. Like I say, I'm not as much of a plan guy. I'm a little, just helter-skelter, wing it, do it as it comes. But I have enough of a plan, and I know when, I need a little help, and I know how to adjust my plan. What I'm getting at is I don't have all those, I don't have a lot of problems as far, like the little things in my diet that probably could be cleaned up. It's not like going off the rails. I don't necessarily, I don't have to work on that aspect anymore to sit around and not eat too many nuts, or I don't have to sit around and really fight myself not to eat something bad, because I'm always eating something good. Maybe that's it. I'm just staying so full of, I'm staying full most of the time and full of good stuff, so I don't have to worry about that. But it goes back to, I see this all the time, and people, I don't know, you've got to understand, you've got to figure out a process for yourself. If you make the same, nobody wants to, I'm not trying to be heavy-handed, and I'm not trying to be judgmental or criticizing, but what are you thinking in your head if you make the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over? Or if you have a trouble spot and it just kind of keeps getting you in trouble, well, what are you doing to change it? Are you adjusting your plan? Are you planning for all contingencies? It's a lot. If you're going to be successful on this lifestyle, you got to put a little work into it too. You got to put a little effort into it. For some people it just comes easy and it just falls right into place. Other people have to work at it a little bit. And what that means is like if your boat has I feel like people that are struggling, they have a boat that has a good number of holes in it, and they got to plug up all those holes to keep from sinking. They're not major leaks, so don't get discouraged. But what I'm getting at is, if let's say you have a trouble spot every day at mid-morning, well, that's easy. You do something to take care of that trouble spot at mid-morning. If you have a trigger for, when you have a meal with certain relatives or a meal under certain conditions, that's a trigger. You plan for that. You think about that ahead of time. You don't just go blindly into it, and you don't go blindly into it over and over and over and over and over, just expecting somehow things are going to change without you adjusting your plan or figuring out what you're going to do ahead of time. It's like I don't say that much when I'm out there on social media, because people are ultra sensitive these days. It's like you can really step into it. You can have an intention of just trying to say something to encourage or help, and that can be immediately perceived as being judgmental or being critical or somebody, and when it's all about just brainstorming. I like that kind of back and forth. I don't like to have to, you know, tiptoe around and worry like, okay, how is this going to be received when I say that? I like to be around people where there's a free exchange of ideas, you know, so we can help each other. Sometimes when we have to censor ourselves too much, important things don't get said because we're afraid maybe that's going to tend to offend somebody. But what I'm getting at about it all is you just look. It's much easier. Once you fall off the wagon, or once you go through a binge eating spell, or I'm trying to just like picture all the problems I see people write when they pop up on the Facebook wall or in whatever form of social media. Yeah, I haven't been around to this group in a while. I fell off and I did this. Or, yeah, I feel terrible. You know, I went to this reunion this weekend with family and I just got stressed out and I totally ate all this bad stuff. And then, you know, you come back and then it's that time, it's that come to Jesus moment, and then you're going to do a great cleanse or something very extreme. I'm going to such and such island for a month. Well, these cleanses and these islands and these deep, stringent things are probably not all that necessary if you're just like eating clean all along. Eating clean all along. In other words, like you don't have to go in and do all these drastic, like I'm going to go on a 30-day juice feast, which nothing's wrong with that. I mean, there's certain people that have things to heal and there's different ways of doing that. But what I'm saying is kind of using them as just like to fix something that you did, like say over the weekend or last week, or just like, you know, you fell off the rails and you're using one of these cleanses to offset that. When it would have just been easier in the long run just to eat clean all along and just to have a plan that would have prevented you from, you know, doing whatever you didn't want to do. I mean, that activity, now I'm not judging anybody's behavior. That's up to you. Like, I'm just talking about little tricks and little things you can use to plug the holes in what you're trying to do. It doesn't even have to be the food. It's just that, like, I don't know, even though I tell you I'm not a scientific person, I'm an analytical person. I like to, and it's a simple process of mine, I like to analyze things that I'm doing. I like to analyze the outcome, and I like to analyze how to do something differently the next time to get the results that I desire. I mean, to me, that's just, it's not all that intelligent. It's just, it's logical. It's the simplest way, really. It's not an intelligent way. It's a very basic, simple way. I think people just, I don't know, it's sometimes like just kind of throwing the hands up in the air, praying about it, or just hoping some magical force is going to like take care of whatever a problem is or whatever a weakness you have, where it's all just it's very just simply thinking about it and dealing with it. Like, okay, like I say, what are my triggers and how do I prevent those triggers ahead of time? How do I prevent even getting that urge? If you know every morning you have a letdown and you get hungry, what are you just going to every single day, oh, well, I got hungry again this morning at the same time? No. You know that happens on a regular basis, so you come up with a plan to deal with it. You know, maybe if you get hungry every mid-morning and you start struggling with that, okay, am I going to eat the Snickers bar? Oh my God, I'm going to eat this. I'm just trying to hang on to lunch. You eat a bigger breakfast, or you eat a bigger last meal, you know, if you're like eating something before you go to work. Or you take a couple of bananas, and if you generally get hungry at 10:30 every morning, eat a couple of bananas at 9:30 or 10, you know, to get ahead of that hunger. But in the end, you know, it goes back to the old cliche saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Physically and psychologically. You know, it's just the hangdog attitude that people have all the time when they come in, and that's almost as bad as what, like a lot of times if you binge or if you fall off the rails, the physical is not all that serious. I mean, it's not unless you really did something horrible, or if you stayed on it, you know, if you stayed eating bad for a period of time. You really haven't done all that much damage to your body physically, but it's usually that psychological, it's that guilt, it's like I fell, it's like I lost control, I didn't stick to my plan. and it's the aftermath psychologically that messes with people the most and and then that starts spiraling, and it's like, oh, now they beat themselves up, they get depressed. Now, well, I fell off the rails anyway, so I'll get back on Monday, and I might as well do this. You see where it's going, whereas it's just much easier, like I say, know your triggers, know your trouble spots, and get out ahead of them. That's all being successful in this lifestyle is. It's not complicated whatsoever. And if you're looking, like I say all the time too, if you're looking for that special video, that one article, that magic trick that's just going to make it easy and make it click, it ain't out there. It's all within you. It's all about making a plan and working your plan and adjusting your plan when it needs to be adjusted. I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Like I say over and over, this was the first time of doing anything that resembled, I don't like to call it a diet, but it is. A diet is just basically how we eat. But the old way of using a diet, when you went to lose weight or you restricted or whatever, I mean, I don't know. It's just like the light went off for me on this, because I'm just like everybody else. I had to struggle. I had to work at it when I had lost weight in the past doing diets, or restricting my calories, or with my old way of thinking. When I got to this and I figured out I can eat all I want all the time and still be skinny, still like have to eat more to try to keep my weight up, I was like, man, this is it. This is it. And it was easy because I never had to be hungry. Remember that. This is the one lifestyle you never have to be hungry on. So prevent, and don't get to the need of having to cure things. The more we prevent, the less stress we're going to have about it, and the healthier and happier we're going to be. Okay, that's about all I got to say about it. Anyhow, hope you guys like this video. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel, and hope you're having a good day. Sun's in and out in my world down here. I'm trying to see if I'm going to be able to get some sun, but if not, I'll get out and do something else fun, productive, meaningful, or not. Maybe just fun. Anyhow, you guys have a good day. Love you. Peace.